I'm going to show you how to do some of the problems on the spiral since we haven't had time to do the spiral throughout the week because of the test. There will be a check in Google Classroom and the final submission. So after you finish your spiral, go through and check it, see which ones are wrong and correct them, and then do the final submission. I will only be grading the final submission. So if you check it and get a 100, you have to go into the final submission and record your answers so that I can put that in the gradebook. All right, I'm going to show you how to do number 8. I'm going to show you how to do it 2 different ways. First, we'll do it by hand, and then I'll show you how to type it in the calculator. Okay, so 4 times square root of 6 is being multiplied by everything in the parentheses. So negative 3 square roots of 3 plus 5. So we want to multiply everything by 4 square roots of 6. So we're just going to distribute that 4 square roots of 6 into the parentheses. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Square root of 6 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 18. And now let's do the other one. Square root of 4 square roots of 6 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. And then we still have square roots of 6. All right, so we want to simplify the square root of 18. So the first thing we're going to do is break that into 2 perfect squares. I'm just going to bring down my negative 12. And we want to break square root of 18 into 2 squares. We want to use a perfect square, the biggest perfect square possible. So 6 times 3 is 18. The square root of 6 times the square root of 3 will give us the square root of 18. But neither one of those is the perfect square, so that won't help us out. So we'll do the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. That'll be 18. And then we still have plus 20, square root of 6. All right, the square root of 9, that's going to be 3. We just cancel that out. That's going to be a 3. So what negative 12 times 3 is negative 36. We still have a square root of 2. And we'll bring down our plus 20 square root of 6. So negative 36 square roots of 2 plus 20 square roots of 6 is B. Now, I'll review with you how to do this on a calculator. On the calculator, you've got to be careful that you type it in correctly. All right, so 4 square roots of 6. So 4, the square root button is above this x squared button. So you got to hit the second and then the square to get the square root of 6. Now to do the parentheses, you have to click to the right to come out of the square root. Then you do your open parentheses. Negative 3, you have to use the negative. Here, I'll show you. Scoot this up. You have to use the negative button in order to do negative 3. The handheld calculators have the negative button and a minus button, and it treats them separate. So you got to know when to use negative and when to use minus. So it's going to be a negative 3. So negative 3, and then we want the square root of 3. So second, square root of 3, and then plus 5. Now, if I hit plus, it puts it inside the square root. So I want to delete that and come out of the square root. So click to the right. So plus 5. And then close parenthesis. Hit enter. That gives us 20 square roots of 6 minus 36 square roots of 2, which is the same thing. It just has them commuted. It switches them, but it's the same thing as B. So 20 square roots of 6 is at the end. Negative 36 square roots of 2 is at the beginning. All right. So you can just type them in the calculator for the other ones, or you can do them by hand, whichever one you choose, because you'll have a calculator for your tests. All right, on the back. All right, this is going to be the same thing as the last row. You can do these in your calculator. Sometimes the problems are really big and your calculator can't handle all of that at once and it gives you some crazy answer. It doesn't simplify your square roots like we want. So if that happens, just do it a piece at a time. So add these two together and see what you get. add these, well, combine these two and see what you get, and you can put those two together. If not, if it doesn't work, then you'll have to do that part by hand. All right. What we want to do is, let's do number 10. And then I'll show you how to do 11 and 12 because this is something different. Okay, so number 10, I'll show you how to do it by hand, or you can just type it in the calculator. Now, square root of 6 is already simplified, so we're going to go ahead and combine these two. 2 square roots of 6 plus 3 square roots of 6 is 5 square roots of 6. Now, we'll go ahead and simplify this. So minus 2. The square root of 24, we can break that up into 6 times 4, which has a perfect square, 8 and 3, which doesn't. So we'll do 6 times 4, but I'm going to put my perfect square first. The square root of 4 times the square root of 6. And then we'll do our last one, minus 2. The square root of 8 is going to be the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. Okay, so 5 square roots of 6, we'll just bring that down. Now the square root of 4 is 2, so that'll be a 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 square roots of 6. Square root of 4, that's a 2. So negative 2 times the square root of 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 square roots of 2. So now we have two like terms, or a set of like terms. 5 to the 6th minus 4 to the 6th. 5 square roots of 6 minus 4 square roots of 6. So how many square roots of 6 do we have? 5 minus 4 is 1 square root of 6. I can write a 1 or not write the 1 because it's understood either anyway. And then minus 4 square roots of 2. Now we can't combine these because they're not like terms. So we want 1 square root of 6 minus 4 square roots of 2. 1 square root of 6 minus 4 square root of 2 is b. Okay, go ahead and do 9. Now 11. Let me show you how to do this in the calculator. We'll see if our calculator will simplify this for us. Actually, I haven't done one of these. This will be an experiment. So there's a negative sign there out front. It's kind of hard to see, but a negative 1 over, so we'll do divided by, because the fraction mark means divide. I want to put this bottom in parentheses, because I want everything to be divided by 5 plus the square root of 5, and then close parentheses. Hit enter, and it did not understand what to do. Make sure I didn't make any mistakes. I did. So 5 plus the square root of 5 will come out of that square root and close the parentheses. And it did it for us. So 5 square roots of 5 minus 5 over 20. Oh, no, this answer has it just written with the coefficient first. Negative 5 plus the square root of 5 all over 20. So C. Now to do this by hand, you would have to distribute a square root of 5 into the numerator and the denominator to cancel out square root of 5 in the denominator. So that would take like 5 minutes for me to show you how to do that on video. So we'll just use the calculator for number 12. Just type that in as you see it on the handheld calculator, because the decimal calculator will just give you an answer and not simplify it in square roots. Okay, so when you type it in, just watch out because it'll flip your answers sometimes, because the scientific calculator have the square roots before the constants. So when you do your answers, your square roots will most likely be before your constants. All right, the last one. this is going to be just like what we did on the test this week. You can FOIL or you can use the area model. I'll show you how to do it using the area model, and if you know the shortcut for foiling, you can FOIL. Okay, so I'm going to draw my square. Now my factors are 5v, 5v, and a positive 1, and a 5v, nope, a 1v, just v, and a negative 4. All right, so 5v times v is 5v squared. 1 times v is 1v. Negative 4 times 5v is negative 20v. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. So now we just want to combine our like terms. Okay, so we got 5v squared, 5v squared, and we want to combine these on the diagonal. So negative 20v and positive 1v are like terms. We have more negatives than positives, so it's going to be negative 19v and then minus 4. None of these are like terms, so we can't combine anything else. So 5v squared minus 19v minus 4 is C. All right, so you can use the area model. If you know how to FOIL, you can just FOIL. I'll show you real quick how to FOIL on 14, but I'm not going to go all the way through and do it. Okay, so foiling, it stands for first, outside, inside, last. So first is the first terms in the parentheses. That's your F. Okay, so you're going to multiply 2x times 5x. So I usually do the first term and then the last term because they don't get combined with anything. The last terms in the parentheses is your L. So 2x times 5x will be your first term, and then 2 times 5 will be your last term. I do those first because the outside and the inside term are actually going to combine to be the middle term of your trinomial. So the outside terms are the 2 on the outside. So that's your O for outside. That's going to be 10x's, and your inside terms of the 2 on the inside is your inside. So 2x times 5 is going to be 10x. 2x times 2 times 5x will be 10x. We're going to combine 10x's plus 10 more x's. So that kind of gives away the answer, but that's how you FOIL. The first, outside, inside, last. So I usually do the first terms and multiply them, and that will give you the first term of your answer. The last terms, 2 times 5, will give you the last term in your answer. And then combine your outside terms, the product of your outside terms and inside terms. So if you know how to FOIL, you can FOIL. If not, the area model I think is way easier until you've done it a whole bunch of times, and then FOILing becomes the shortcut. All right, so finish this, do the check, and then put it in for your final submission for your grade. Okay, good luck.